We got a WWE pay-per-view on Sunday, and
I was just writing about that, and okay, so Samoa Joe and Ricochet really could be good, but when I look at that lineup up and down, it's not a thrilling lineup by any means. Yeah, it's a weak one. It's impossible to get excited about it. And also, it's 2 weeks after the last one, and 2-week builds are not the best. When I was watching SmackDown yesterday, and I'm watching the opening segment where Dolph Ziggler's going on and on and on, about how Kofi's not a good champion after previously saying that he was a couple weeks earlier. But it was just like this thing hit on me, and I'm watching Dolph Ziggler, and it's whenever they've done the Dolph Ziggler Kofi Kingston thing, it's these guys have been around forever, and they're forever mid-carders, and now we're supposed to buy them as world champions, even though they are promoting and pushing Kofi really well. But with Ziggler, it was just the only reason he's here in this spot is because Daniel Bryan got hurt, and they didn't know how bad it was, so they turned Kevin Owens to put Kevin Owens in the spot. And then Kevin Owens wouldn't go to Saudi Arabia, so they had to put somebody else in the spot. So here we are. For that's the reason. If it wasn't for that, Dolph Ziggler would still be running around doing stand-up comedy. He came back in a top spot only because Kevin Owens wouldn't go to Saudi Arabia.
I thought he was going to go back to stand-up comedy after the Saudi Arabia show, and he got booked for another show.
I think he's back because Kevin Owens. Look at as far as contenders for Kofi. Daniel Bryan's now in a tag team, so he's pretty much been removed from that spot. Kevin Owens is hardly being booked like a guy who's about to get back in that spot. He's, what can you say about the booking? The thing on the SmackDown show, and I liked SmackDown. I thought the writing on SmackDown was much better than most WWE shows, but the booking, it was the same thing as Raw, where you had two different matches. You had the 2 out of 3 fall match where you did 2 straight falls, and then you had the elimination match. And in both cases, it's why did you do the stipulations? Because instead of just hurting one guy, you hurt 2 guys, one guy who didn't need to be hurt in each match. There was no purpose in hurting them. You know what I mean? It's kind of like they hurt people just to fulfill a gimmick, and the gimmick doesn't make the match any better. It's almost like they get their jollies out of making sure people don't get over.
Well, I think it was just this week they were just on the kick of adding stipulations to matches. They did it on Raw.
Oh yeah,
no. SmackDown.
Well, it's
no reason for it. The SmackDown one, it was they decided to do a best of 3 falls match for literally no reason. The first fall was immediate. They went right to a commercial. They came back with 6 minutes left. It was what? Why didn't you just do a match?
Why? I know. Why do you need to do a 2-fall match when you have 8 minutes? When you have you have 30 seconds. I think that wasn't the fall in 7 seconds.
Yeah, it was right when the bell rang. It was so close that Kevin Owens claimed the bell didn't ring, although they should have replayed the bell did ring.
Yeah, they did 7 seconds, 4-minute commercial break, and they had 7 minutes, I think, to come back for the second fall. So they did the second fall. But the thing is okay, so you want to put Seth Rollins and Kofi Kingston over Owens and Zayn. Okay, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. So you beat one of them. There's no reason to beat both of them. What's the purpose? And it was 2 straight falls. It's so why make it 2 out of? There was no reason whatsoever to make that 2 out of 3, other than, there's no, I guess they could say, well, they had with the commercial break between falls, it was a natural break, and so they had a pinfall, and then you had the commercial rather than start the match and then go right to the commercial like they usually do. But what they should have done, since it was only 7 seconds, is they should have taken the commercial and then started the match and had it be a 1-fall match. They could have taken the commercial like a minute earlier, or even do the intros. There's nothing wrong with doing the intros and then, going to the commercial and then coming back and then starting the match. That's fine. But
what I got out of that finish and the show and Raw on Monday is, with a couple of exceptions, and not a lot, It was one babyface after another standing tall for 2 straight days.
Well, it not in that elimination match. It wasn't.
What are you talking about? The babyfaces won.
The elimination match, that was Drew McIntyre.
Oh, the elimination match. Yeah. I thought you were talking about the main event.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, the point of this is, like, I look at this card, and I can't imagine, like, Ziggler beating Kingston. I can't imagine Baron Corbin winning the title. I don't want to imagine.
What a horrible idea that would be, but they could do it. Yeah.
I look at this show, and I think that there's going to be a lot of heels going over on this show. I could even see Kofi winning, and Dolph cashes in on Kofi.
You mean Brock Lesnar?
Brock Lesnar, yes.
I guess, yeah. I mean,
they're pushing so hard he's going to cash in on Seth or Baron. That
all I know is that I don't believe Brock's coming to Tacoma.
I don't think he's coming to Tacoma.
Yeah,
I could see it happening, but Tacoma, Washington, I do agree with you there. But regardless, I think a lot of heels are winning on Sunday.
It's actually a lot shorter trip for him than most of these trips. From what's he living in? Regina, Saskatchewan, right? Isn't that where he's living?
I don't know where he's living.
Somewhere up there.
Well, anyway, the card is Bayley, Alexa Bliss for the SmackDown Women's title. I thought their segment on SmackDown was great.
So did I.
It was
really
great.
That's what I said. What I really liked, there were about 3 or 4 spots where I really liked the writing, and this was probably the one the most. I thought just both sides, they were scripted really. I mean, because you know what it was?
Believed them. You believed every word that each of them said. Exactly.
They gave you a storyline that had believability rather than this, like stuff where you hear a storyline and you go, this is so, there's no believability to it at all. They tried to weave it into believability. The other thing I liked was and it was just a simple, usually their humor's terrible, but when the thing with Matt Hardy and Senior Benjamin, and I grant you that is very, very inside, and you pretty much have to be a TNA fan to know it. I still thought that, I just thought that was really clever. Just a little cute thing. He sees Shelton Benjamin, he calls him Senior Benjamin. And there were a couple of other things during the show like that. But that's what I said. I liked the writing. It didn't help the ratings any, but, then again, it's not gonna. I mean, that's, if they have a string of good shows, it's not like the first good show is gonna, like, increase the ratings. The ratings will, you're gonna have a
It's gonna be a long time.
Well, this is going to be a long summer for ratings because this was the week they were supposed to bounce back, and boy, did that not happen.
Well, let's finish this card, and we'll do the ratings. Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre is a match. Nothing on the line.
It could be good, although, I mean, I'm tempering that. I mean, normally I would look at that and go, on a pay-per-view, this will be a good match. But their match at WrestleMania was nothing special. So, actually, they have a lot to prove. I think that they'll probably have a good match.
Speaking of nothing special, Becky Lynch is facing Lacey Evans again in a rematch of a match that was nothing special.
Yeah, I don't expect this to be anything special again. I mean, do you think they could beat Becky Lynch again?
Yeah, they could.
Yeah. I don't think that Alexa Bliss will beat Bayley. I just don't think that'll happen. I mean, it could, but Lacey Evans beating Becky Lynch, I wouldn't do it. But I could see it.
We got Seth Rollins and Baron Corbin for the title with a special guest referee that is yet to be announced.
Yeah. So here's the other thing too. I think that when it comes to Seth Rollins and Baron Corbin and all 4 of these matches, the 4 championship matches that we've talked about. Okay, Seth Rollins and Baron Corbin we just saw in Saudi Arabia, and it was probably the weakest Seth Rollins match in a long time. So that makes me very excited to see it again. Kofi Kingston and Dolph Ziggler in Saudi Arabia was fine, but it was nothing special. It was fine. It was okay, but it was not a world championship match. In fact, if anything, it felt like on a world championship match level, it was mediocre at best, maybe even below mediocre. Becky Lynch and Lacey Evans as a championship match, by championship match standards, it sucked. And Bayley and Alexa Bliss, if you remember their matches before, they were terrible. So that's a great way, that gets me so excited for those 4 matches. I mean, Joe and Ricochet, by all means, should be great, but did you see the quotes from Kenta about wrestling in WWE?
I did not.
Okay, so he's in Japan. So basically, he said, They asked him like his memories, if he has anything good, any good memories about 205 Live. And he said, none.
Well, he's an honest man.
Yeah, but the thing he said was that, when he was, why he was so frustrated in WWE was that they kept telling him what he couldn't do, and they kept telling him what he had to do. And he said that he just got sick of it. And for whatever reason, that reminded me of like, I'm all excited about seeing Samoa Joe and Ricochet. And the problem is that they're going to tell those guys what they can do and what they can't do, as opposed to just letting them go out there and do it. If they just let them go out there and do it, the match is going to be excellent. I mean, like Ricochet against anybody is going to be excellent if it's just go out there and do it. But if they, micromanage the match, I mean, it's probably not going to be so great.
New Day versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
It's just a match.
Boy, am I excited about that after the SmackDown main event.
I know after they beat Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in 2 straight falls, they gave them a lot of credibility. Yeah.
And Tony Nese, Akira Tozawa, Drew Gulak in a triple threat for the Cruiserweight title.
Mm. So the thing with it, it's every Cruiserweight championship match on every pay-per-view is always very good action and no crowd heat. It's like the story of the thing. And, Drew Gulak's really good. And, Tony Nese technically is really good. He doesn't have a lot of personality, but he's in the ring, move for move and everything like that. He's very good. And Tozawa's actually great. But, it's, I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up in the pre-show. It doesn't seem like it always is.
Actually, recently they had one that wasn't on the pre-show, and I couldn't figure out why that one wasn't on the pre-show.
Yeah, they put it in a buffer position, and then it like died.
Yeah,
maybe they'll put it in a buffer position. Yeah.
And then Daniel Bryan and Rowan versus Heavy Machinery for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. That's your show.
So how's the crowd going to react to Daniel Bryan and Rowan against Heavy Machinery?
Probably cheering like crazy.
It's going to get a tremendous reaction.
Yeah.
Do you think Daniel Bryan goes in there and insults the whole state of Washington? Because I just don't see that.
Well, the last time that he was in Everett, which was earlier this year, he in fact did not.
I know.
He did a babyface promo and insulted everyone except the people in Washington.
I know, but the thing is do they want Heavy Machinery to get booed out of the building on a pay-per-view? I think that they'll go out there and try to force the issue. So it's going to be very interesting.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how the crowd goes with that. Because, like, the other time, it was just like they let him do it. But I just think that, with Heavy Machinery and everything, that they're going to try to have Bryan, like, do something to turn. So we'll see what happens, and we'll see how the crowd reacts to that.